There you go. How's it going, guys? How are
Yeah.
you?
See everyone, Omar? Can
Sorry, what?
you see everyone?
I can see everyone. Hello. Not at all, man. The more the merrier.
All right, so let's get with it, Omar.
All right, guys. So,
The man of the hour, friend.
well, thank you for all the pressure. So, guys, I don't know if Jesse and Jose went through this. First of all, I really want to thank them for inviting me and Neil Bava for setting this up. I've known Neil for a little while now. He was actually a partner on our latest deal. We're actually going to go through it, but just before starting out, I've got 10 years of investing experience, actually 10 plus now. It's been way more than 10 of investing experience across commodities and real estate on the institutional side. So suffice it to say, I've been doing this for a little while. I wasted a good portion of my 20s and early 30s chained to a desk or doing due diligence on deals and stuff. I've advised on $3.7 billion of capital financing and M&A transactions, and now I syndicate large apartment complexes, multifamily deals across Texas, Florida, and soon to be Atlanta. I also personally, because I'm a CFA charter holder, I advise high net worth individuals, entrepreneurs on their real estate portfolio allocations. And I've lived in a few countries now. So US is my fourth country now that I've actually lived in. So every country I go to, I've got good friends, great new investors. So I guess that kind of helps if you're doing a business of sorts. So let's just get into it. Jesse, do you want to talk about the latest deal in Jacksonville? How do you want to progress?
Yeah. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So let's dive into a little bit about your Jacksonville deal. Kind of go into that. Incorporate your investment criteria, how you arrived at picking the location, picking the property. Get to that granular level you love to get to.
Well, I'll get as granular as you like, so you guide me along the way if I miss something, okay?
Okay. All right.
So basically, guys, I live in Dallas. My partners one lived in Miami, one lived in Coral Gables. And primarily, after doing a few deals in Texas, we decided to focus on Florida, and specifically within Florida. And I'm going to go into the details of that when I show you the map and everything. Within Florida, we picked Jacksonville because we felt it was the best bang for our buck, given demographics, incomes, jobs, and then the pricing we were getting things at. Because it's no good if you have everything else working for you. Jobs are moving there, people are moving there, but the pricing doesn't work. For instance, like Miami as an example, right? So we've done a lot of deep dive analysis. And before I get into that, I'd like to tell you how for instance, me sitting in Dallas could basically reach out to brokers in Jacksonville, develop my credibility super duper duper fast, because I did very specific things. And none of these things as we go along, you're going to find out none of these things are hard, by the way, but you just have to learn to do it. And the number one thing that I'd like to tell people is, guys, you've got to be specific. Specificity gets funding. If you're not specific, nothing else you do matters.
Okay, hold on, Omar. I'd like to tell you guys, if you guys have questions along the way, he's open to answering questions or stopping us and asking questions, okay?
Right, so the number one thing, I think there's a question.
What kind of specifics do you get? I understand like different units and everything, but how specific do you get? What do you
Yeah, she's asking how specific do you get?
I was actually going to get into that. So that's a nice segue into my next. So how specific I got was, number one, guys, what we said initially for our first deal in Florida, specifically Jacksonville, we said, and I am literally just write this down. If you literally just say this to a broker, and you've got to amend some of this, to work for you. If you just literally say this to a broker, you do not have to do anything after that, okay? Literally the email was, hi, Mr. Broker, or hi, John, or whatever the guy's name is, right? We are active multifamily operators in Texas. We are now, full stop. We are now expanding into Florida, full stop. Then press enter. Investment criteria, 100 to 200 units, 10 to $20 million, value add, BC, 10 to 15% below market rents. What's a good time for us to talk? That's it. None of this, all this stupid stuff that all these online gurus are telling you, develop your credibility, become a friend with somebody. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you, no broker cares. Brokers are like any other busy professional, right? Like lawyers, doctors, accountants, any other person in the world. They don't care. They don't want to be your friend. Now, they might be your friend. You do a few deals, you get to know somebody, and organically that friendship happens. Nobody gives a crap about your rapport with them. People want to do a deal. Because if these guys, for instance, don't do a deal, they don't get to sell a property, their kids don't get to eat that day, right? Because they basically make their money on commissions. So you don't need to establish any credibility. You don't need to be buddy-buddy with them. You need to make their lives super duper easy, okay? And when you literally follow this syntax, I am telling you, 9 times out of 10, people are going to get back to you. This is, I mean, literally, Jesse has seen this. In fact, Jesse, you should talk about this, right? Because you were hitting the roadblock.
Yeah, it's like I was telling you guys, it's been night and day. Before, when I was talking to brokers, I mean, I literally was, every word, I felt like I was about to stand on a landmine, like that I was going to blow up the call. You know, I was so hesitant. And now that I talk to brokers, even with that simple email, and when we get on the phone with brokers, I mean, I go in there like I'm Conor McGregor about to walk into the stage, and like, I'm like a lot of confidence. It's the world of difference, and they listen now. And that email is almost 100% response.
I mean, and literally, you saw with that email, none of this email is groundbreaking work. I haven't used any complex words. I didn't try to, become somebody's friend. I didn't try to send somebody my credibility package. I didn't have to do any of that crap. Literally, because look, you have to realize, guys, a busy broker, and you should only be talking to busy brokers, because if a broker is not busy, you do not want to talk to them. It's like a catch-22 situation, right? A busy broker, on average, gets between 300 to 400 modes of communication sent to the guy. So this includes phone calls, text messages, emails, okay? This guy or girl is flooded with the communication. Everybody wants a piece of their time, okay? So this person has to ruthlessly prioritize. What this person can't do is say, oh yeah, that guy sounds like a good guy. He sent me a little credibility package, which has 15 colors in his little PDF. Must be a nice guy. Nobody cares, guys. Okay, nobody cares. Nobody has time for that. So what you have to do is, when you set the tone properly from the word go, right? You say to him, oh, look, man, this is what I'm looking for. Here's why I'm looking for it. And here's my criteria. That literally, like that, it just moves you from the newbie, I'm not going to waste time, this guy's a tire kicker, to like, okay, this guy is intriguing enough for me to give him a call or send a calendar invite. Okay? Now you get basically, now the second part is, this person will be like, yeah, okay. And literally you have to say, what's a good time for us to talk? No, please, if it would be great if you could talk to me. Screw that. Don't got to do any of that. What's a good time for us to talk? Okay? Now the guy's probably going to reply back and say, Monday, 2 to 4 p.m. I'm available, right? And then if that works, you set up a call, just be friendly, don't be subservient, be friendly, set up a call. Now you're on the phone, right? Now the guy will probably say, if this is the first time you're meeting him, oh, okay, tell me about yourself. You literally repeat the exact same thing again, okay? Don't over-engineer the problem. Hey, John. Yeah, so, we're an acquisitions company acquiring multifamily assets in Texas. We're moving to Florida. Here's our investment criteria. 10 seconds, everything is done. I'm telling you guys, this sounds really, really, really dumb. I'm saying this over and over again. This is quite literally what you said. The brokers be like, oh, that's really good. I've got 2 deals. And trust me, the first 2 deals I send you will be absolute horribly crap. Literally, I can write this on a piece of paper and bet with you it's going to be crap. Okay? But you'll be like, okay. And he'll probably be like, it doesn't really fit 200. It's really 225 units. And it's not really in Jacksonville. It's in Southern Georgia. Is that okay? And you'll be like, John, that's not okay. Because I literally repeated, I'm going to repeat myself for a 3rd time, John. 100, 200 units, $10 to $20 million, value add BC, 10 to 15% below market. Does that make sense, John? Yes, it makes sense. John is literally going to treat you like gold after that. This is my guarantee to you, okay? Now, John's going to send you some really shitty deals. And I apologize, somebody's named John here. I'm just using John as an example, okay? John's going to send you really, really, really shitty deals. First 2 deals are going to be horrible. But what your aim is now is to basically look at that deal within 24 to 36 hours. You're going to have to reply back to John. And you're going to have to say, John, and 9 times out of 10, this is what you'll probably say, unless you, come into the deal of the century, right? John, thank you for sending the deals. We're going to have to pass on this one. And literally, guys, you can copy paste this thing, okay? This is going to happen like 9 times out of 10, right? John, we're going to have to pass on these deals. That's it, full stop. Then write a point, bullet points, right? You got to make it easy. Rent upside seems minimal. The unit mix, we prefer a higher mix of 2 bedrooms or 1 bedroom. I don't know, make something up, guys, just to make yourself sound intelligent, right? And we do believe that a lot of the juice has been taken out because comps are trading at, say, 75 and this thing is trading at 100. What's the deal there? Let's continue the conversation. Full stop. Now you follow up and John's going to be like, no, there's a lot of value add here because it's the greatest deal in the century, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to have to repeat yourself. Then 2 weeks from then, you just have to follow up with John. And that's quite literally all you got to do. Literally. If you literally just do these steps and do not over-engineer the problem, don't try and change any words, this is my guarantee to you that you can be a complete newbie and the broker will call you. And Jesse is a living example of this thing. Jesse tried for 2 years. And tell them, Jesse, what's happened in the past, like, I don't know, 2 months.
We've been on best on final on 2 deals. We're looking at several more now, and Atlanta. We're moving to Atlanta now. So
yeah. Guys, because you got to realize people want to do a deal with you, but what people don't, it's like any other relationship in life. Nobody likes people who suck up for no reason, especially when you don't even know somebody. Nobody likes people who are tire kickers and going to waste their time. And especially nobody likes people, who are just looking for a multi-family value add deal. What does that even mean? Like, do you want a $30 million deal? Do you want a $5 million deal? What do you want, right? Because the more specific you are, now people have this thing in their head, right? Where they think, okay, if I'm too specific, that would mean I won't get a look at all the deals and somehow I'll be magically left behind everybody else. Okay, guys, that's complete BS, okay? Because if you say I'm looking for a multifamily deal, nothing is ever gonna happen. If you tell, and I'm gonna show you on a map, we told John, it's gotta be in the San Jose or San Marcos submarket or the Beaches submarket. It's got to be a 1975 plus vintage. It's got to have significant deferred maintenance. And here are the other criteria we're looking for. It took us literally 3.5 to 4 months, but we literally, not only did we find a deal that literally ticked every box, but they were people who were way bigger than us and they never got the deal because they were just so scattered. They're looking for everything. And guys like us can come in and be very specific, hone in on a few variables and just kill it. Literally kill it, right? So now what we're going to do is, now we've talked about the investment criteria. What I'm going to show you is, let me actually share my screen and then I can show you. So does everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Do I need to expand it or I don't know, do something?
You're good. You're on the right-hand side. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Cool, guys. So by the way, guys, everything I'm showing you today, this is basically available for free on the internet. None of this is a paid subscription. So nobody has an excuse to say, oh my God, I don't have the money to do this, blah, 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 blah. It's free, okay? It doesn't get cheaper than that. Google Maps, free for everybody. US Census data, free for everybody, right? So what we did is, when we were going in, the toss-up was, I'm gonna show you, there's 3 things that we were looking at. We could go Jacksonville, we could go Orlando, or we could go Tampa. And we did, we did property tours, site visits, all that. You gotta do all that stuff, right? And we picked Jacksonville really because Tampa, if you think like Dallas and Texas is crazy, you got to look at Tampa. Tampa is like stupid. There's like 60s vintage product going for $120,000 a door, right? It's that crazy. And people are paying money for it, right? So the toss-up was Orlando and Jacksonville. And because of our market research, because we had done a lot of work, we realized that for similar demographics, similar income, similar jobs, similar profiles, we were getting Jacksonville numbers were 10 to 15% below Orlando numbers, which really means that if people are paying the same amount of rent, there's the same level of value add, and we're paying 10 to 15% in value less. That just means it's a better quality deal, right? So now we pick Jacksonville, right? On Jacksonville, what we did is, instead of re-engineering the problem, what I did is I divided up Jacksonville. First of all, in Google Maps, you can do this for free, into say zip codes by median income, right? You can get all the median income data from uscensus.gov, zipwho.com, just enter a zip code, you'll get it, right? So what I do is I add a layer here. Do you guys see this? You guys see this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I add a layer here. This layer says median income has got to be $90,000 plus. Then another layer. Household income has got to be $60,000 to $90,000 plus. Household income between $40,000 to $60,000 plus, and household income below $40,000. Okay. Now, what does that do for me? First of all, as soon as I'm talking with somebody, I immediately, right off the top, even somebody just has to give me the address. Let's just put a random address here, right? What's the name of the Palm Trace Apartments, right? Now let's assume this is an apartment, really nice evaluation, actually. Nicely nice property bought by people I know. But let's assume a broker just gives me the name of this apartment. Now, while the broker is talking to me, I can just plop this in, okay? Now, I can see, like, I zoom out, I really kind of see on the map that the household income in this area is, what is it? $40,000 to $60,000. Right off the top, that tells me a lot, right? That at least people in this market, for instance, median income make, 40 to 60,000. So let's assume if the rents are, just making up a number here, $1,000, 1,000 multiplied by 12 is 12,000, and typically for affordability range. Sorry?
Jose has a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, the question that some people might ask is why 40 to 60? Why is that number something that is attractive for you in terms of investing?
Well,
why those ranges? Why are you using those ranges?
Well, first of all, guys, anything below 40,000, unless, I don't know, there's a super compelling reason, which, by the way, I'll get into. Like literally a 40,000 median income is, for instance, right on the border of a $60,000 and $90,000 median income, right, area. Short of that, anything below 40,000, 38,000, look, unless, I don't know, you want to carry a gun with you every time you go collect rents or go to your property, I probably wouldn't invest there, right? I prefer to not get stabbed. So far I have a pretty good record of not getting stabbed, and I prefer to keep it that way, right? So that's the rationale for under 40,000 median income. And again, these are broad generalizations, right? 40 to 60 is just the next step onwards, right? I mean, look, I could go for.
Oh, man. Damn it, that's the downside to it, I guess.
Yeah.
People who make $50,000 a year.
Hey. You froze, so you're gonna have to go all the way back to the 40,000 when you started. Not farted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we're good.
So I said, look, anything below 40,000, like I said, I prefer to not get stabbed, right? That's like a big reason. That's just a personal preference. Different people are different, right? I'd say the difference. So the next step up is, for instance, you could go 40 to 55 or 40 to 60, because if you go anything above that, right, somebody making $80,000 a year just has a lot more disposable income than somebody makes $50,000 a year. It's a noticeable difference, right, at that stage. So we took 60 as an arbitrary number. You could go 55, because we just said, hey, 40 to 60, 60 to 90, 90 plus. You could go 55, you could go 65. That's on you. That's the number.
Are you finding that when you go to the next category after 40 to 60, that those people tend to start going towards the A-class properties as opposed to the B?
Man. People who make 40 to 60, look, I'm sure there's like one person who goes there. But
No, I'm saying the next group, the 60 to 90, they usually start to go, no?
They might go to the B's. Again, these are averages and broad generalizations. People who make between 60 and 90, if they have a family, for instance, they're not going to A-class properties, man.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right? But people who make 90, yeah, they're going to go to A-class properties. But and to give you an idea, when we were doing lease audits for this Jacksonville property, it's in a sub 40 area, but it's right next to 60 and 90, like zip code areas, right? So it's right on the border, very attractive area. So we found actually when we were doing lease audits, that there were guys paying $700, a couple of renters actually, but their verified income was in excess of $120,000. So you'll always find outliers, right? You'll always find people, say, who make 50 grand a year renting an apartment for $2,000 a month. So there's always that people. We're talking averages. Yeah. Right? And on average, I don't really see people making $60,000 a year moving into A-class properties. That's just not happening, even in Florida, right? Now you understand why we do the zip codes, right? Because right off the top, even if you do zip codes, you kind of start understanding the demographics and the play kind of at work. Again, roughly within the market, right? Then what we do is, now this is really powerful, right? The next step actually really helps you a lot. So what we do is we started putting comps up that have traded in the market for 2017 and 2018. Now, you know why we do that? Let's go back to this Palm Trace Apartments example, right? Palm Trace Apartments, right? Actually, see, this is one of the comps, right? Hold on, this is one of the comps, right? So you see that? So for instance, now I know if somebody tells, oh, let me turn all these things on again. Oh, sorry, this is wrong. Palm Trace Apartments, Jacksonville. Oh yeah, see, now it's shaded, right? So you see, now for instance, if a broker tells me, as an example, this Palm Trace property, just making up a number, is selling for $100,000 a unit, right? I can quickly look at the comp that's traded right next to it. So that's a 94 unit for 3.2 million. So let's do 33.2 million divided by 94. That's coming to 34,000 a unit, right? And we look at this property over here, 7.3 million. What is it? 7.3 divided by 113. That's for 64,000 a unit, right? And so on and so forth. I can click the comps right next to it. So if in this particular area, Palm Trace is selling for 100,000 a unit, right? Now immediately, without going back and forth with the broker, I'm gonna be like, hey John, why is Palm Trace selling for 100,000? Because all the comps trading around it are selling between 35 and 60,000 door. What's the deal here, man? Right? Now, one of two things start happening. Number one, John actually starts thinking you're a smart person because suddenly you cut through all the BS and basically you've kind of told him in a subtle way that you have done your homework on the market and you really know what's going on, right? You literally cut through all the noise. You don't have to underwrite. You don't have to do fancy maths. You don't got to do any of that stuff, right? But so that's the biggest reason. The other reason is right off the top, you've saved yourself all the hassle. Even if this deal looked interesting, right? Unless there is a compelling reason for this thing to be selling at 100,000 a unit, where everything is selling between 35 and 60,000 a unit, you've just saved yourself time because you're not going to underwrite this. Okay, why waste 3 hours of your life underwriting things that are just not going to pencil out? Because the comps don't support it, right? So two big reasons: establish credibility and don't waste your time. Guys, similar to what the brokers are, you also have to be ruthless with your time. You have to learn how to prioritize and do things quickly. And again, Jesse, I think you should mention the point about how you were killing yourself doing underwriting and what we do right now.
Oh yeah, I was taking, especially when you're new, you take a lot longer. I mean, you could go up to 6 hours if you're doing rent comps and you've never done them, and you got like 4 different platforms just trying to figure out what the rent comps are. And so yeah, as soon as we started doing simple things like income and zip codes, crime, poverty, unemployment, real quick, we do those. And if it doesn't fit any of our parameters, it's going to be hard to get investors involved, and it's going to be hard to sell the property later on. So we literally go through, today, I think we went through 4 deals in a couple minutes, just because right away I'm able to scan through them, look at some things up. I can give you guys some websites to look at for income, for crime, for all that. We have websites for that. We can share those with you. So my I think it was Adrian. What's your buddy's name back there? Manny. Was it you or was it someone else that I showed my trash? They're like, man, I've been trying to get a broker to send me a deal. I said, look, and I said, yeah, man, you got to. I started talking to him. I said, look at my trash. And I showed him my trash, and my trash had like hundreds of deals that I had just thrown in my trash that I'm getting a flow of leads. And he's like, wow, you're getting 300 units and 200 units. Yeah, and I said, that's my trash. I mean, those emails, all of that he's talking about works. It was like night and day from the time that I was trying to do it on my own to what he's telling you guys right now.
Also to add there, if you get deals off market, it could be a little different, but if you get deals from broker, every single deal that you get from a broker, they're going to say, yeah, the value add can just increase rents. But if you are the second and the most expensive property in rent in the area, and the demographics don't support $100 rent, wow, how are you going to get the best update there? And you cannot do anything more than that. Even doesn't matter what the broker says. So that's part of the homework that you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. So
Your Census shows comps from 2017
yeah.
and 18.
Okay.
So Texas is a non-disclosure state. So how do those comps?
That's how gold.
Jesse, you should tell them. You should tell them because Jesse was going to tell this later. You should tell them, Jesse.
Well, I mean, that's the hard part. I mean, if you're getting, I mean, you literally have to build this starting your first day if you can. Because, I mean, from the day one or whenever you get that first co-star, you're going to get comps in your co-stars. You're going to get comps in some of the reports they send you. And you need to be collecting all that stuff and adding it to your map.
Okay, so this is a subscription.
No, you get them from the brokers.
You can talk to brokers.
Once you get,
property management companies too.
yeah, when they send you a deal, you ask them for the co-star. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to build this yourself. I mean, it's a reverse engineer. We're showing you the things that you can put on there, but over time, no, Google Map doesn't do it for you.
Yeah, you're not going to get it there. But another thing that you could maybe explore, but it's not going to be any too accurate. You cannot count on it as being extremely accurate. You could go at the tax records where you have the deed.
Yeah.
The only hit there you have is what the loan.
Not tax records. You go to the county clerk's website. Adrian, you probably know about this stuff.
What they paid for it, what they paid for
Deed of trust.
But there's something there that you got to figure out or assume. It's either a 75% loan, 8%, or they did something different.
Yeah, so what I was doing, I was getting the deed of trust, and I was adding 25% to whatever was on the deed of trust.
Guys, you can keep it really simple. You know, literally what's the simplest thing?
Yeah.
Like a lot of other things in life, guys, if you don't ask, you don't get. So you literally, when you have a broker, tell them, that's great. Why don't you send me some comps that I've recently sold? Broker's going to send you some comps.
Yep.
Have a lender. If they specialize in your market, you know what you do? You tell the lender, man, that's really cool. Can you send me some comps of the properties? I'm trying to get a rough valuation. They'll be more than happy to do it for you guys. They are literally in the business of knowing what is going on. Okay, in Dallas, for instance, we haven't acquired a property yet in Dallas because, to be honest with you, I wasn't even looking. And now a few guys sent us a deal, so that's why we looked. Literally, all I had to do was pick up the phone, and I just had to call one person. I was like, hey, man, I'm looking at this area. You know, this is what the price the guy's telling me. Do you know any people who bought in the area? Guys, you have to realize brokers, lenders, property managers, it is their business to know what's going on in the market. They wouldn't be much of a broker, and they would definitely not be much of a lender if they didn't know what was going on in the market. How much is the property sold for? Who probably bought the property? How many units it is? Blah, 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 blah.
You can even use
really have
single family too.
Yeah.
Those of you that do single family, I mean, you could be doing the same thing with single family and in the properties as well.
Yeah, just ask. Literally, you'd be surprised how many things you can get in life if you're nice, if you're polite, you treat people with respect. And you know, it's not a one-way street, so you got to help them out, right? So if somebody helps you, you got to give them business too, right? It's a mutually beneficial thing. But if you're nice and polite, you'd be shocked at how many doors magically open for you. Right?
Do what? What about appraisers, he's asking?
Well, nobody's going to tell them that, because a lender does not want an appraiser to know, because you know what starts happening? As soon as taxes start going up, lenders can't lend enough in the market. Okay, that's a big problem for them. They want to lend more. Guys, you got to realize, for a lender, it's a job. The guy doesn't like hate you or not hate you. The guy's got to do his job. He wants to lend money because that's the only way. If he doesn't originate loans, he doesn't get paid. His kids don't get to eat. His wife's pissed off at him. He doesn't get to buy a nice Mercedes that year. None of that stuff works. Okay. Similarly, no broker wants to tell appraisers. You know why? Because if brokers start telling appraisers start jacking up taxes, you know what starts happening? Less people start buying. And when less people buy, brokers don't get to eat. They don't get to buy that fancy BMW. That's why nobody tells the appraisers. And the appraisers legally can't ask. They can request, but you're under no obligation to tell.
All right. Any other questions? Nope. All right, cool.
All right, guys. So complementing these comps, right? So I'm going to turn them off because I don't want the map getting too crowded. I'm going to show you something else, right? Now, complementing these things, we put stuff like, say, path of progress. Now, this is a very generic term, right? What does path of progress to us mean? It means places like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Starbucks, maybe a Walmart supercenter of sorts. Let's see, Amazon fulfillment center. What that does is it kind of tells me where are things skewing towards, right? Then we say best elementary school. Again, best is kind of a misnomer. We basically picked elementary schools that had a rating of over 6, so 6+, right? And you can go to websites like Great Schools or Best Schools, something like that. If you Google, you'll know the ratings of schools, right? Everybody uses it anyways. Now we put best, quote unquote, best schools here, right? Now, immediately, if you didn't know anything about Jacksonville, you literally didn't know anything about Jacksonville, you didn't even know where this place was, right? You can now start seeing that a bulk of the really cool things that at least we've outlined, they tend to skew towards the east side, or rather this side, right? So right off the top, without even knowing Jacksonville, without ever having been to Jacksonville, now we know, relatively speaking, again, this is relative word, relatively the east side is more affluent. Now we knew that personally, but now the data supports it too, right? And then over a period of time, because this is a work in progress, guys, you'll never be able to get 100%. You just have to keep building this over a period of time in your preferred market, right? We picked like areas that we liked. So areas that we felt were good are all blue. Areas that are kind of dodgy or like, I don't really know about this area. We color coded them as red, right? And yellows we're kind of unsure about it. It's on the border. Now, what does this do? What this does for us is now immediately we start seeing that there's a lot more blues and there's a lot more activity on this east side than it is on the west side. And frankly, if you look over here, there is no activity. And you know why there is no activity? This is quite literally the ghetto. Literally, you are going to get shot if you go there after 6 p.m. Quite literally. So don't go there. The data doesn't support it. I'm assuming most people don't like getting shot, right? Don't do that. But now we have the data to support all of this stuff. So it's not just me saying this, not just some broker selling you stuff. You have the data. So now, guys, before you even go to Jacksonville, before you burn your calories, you just know so much more information. And as soon as a broker or anybody is talking with you, right, they give you some random apartment name. You did what I did. You literally put that apartment in, and now you kind of find out literally 50 to 60% of the story before you even look at the underwriting, before you even look at the numbers, before some guy even says this. And within 20 seconds, not only do you have all this information in your hand, you're able to talk about this. So because you're able to talk about this on the fly, people start taking you seriously. Now they think you're a big player. They think you're a way bigger deal and you've been in the market forever. Like I've had guys, I'm not even joking with you, guys that are my father's age, literally tell me, son, how long have you been doing this? And I was like, man, I'm 33, man. I haven't been doing this obviously for too long. Because they're like, I've been in Jacksonville my whole life and I hardly know like 5 people who know all this stuff. Because the thing is, a lot of the old schoolers, a lot of the old way of doing this is, well, you just spend 20 years pounding the pavement and eventually this just thing gets burnt into your memory, right? Yeah, you don't have to do any of that. You don't got to waste your time. You can literally use technology to propel you so much ahead of the competition that it's going to be a joke. And guys, the other thing also is I'm sharing all of this information. I shared this with a ton of people. I can assure you 90% of people are not going to follow through even on this thing. Because this thing takes a little while. It takes a few days to develop. It takes a few days to kind of figure out what you're doing. And that's some hard work. And I'm telling you, people are allergic to hard work. So I'm telling you this, but 90% of people don't even do that, even though all of this information is available for free. So any questions, anything I can answer for you guys?
It doesn't have to be about the map. It can be about multifamily.
Yeah, whatever.
No.
We get all this data on Google and on the web without even having to go to the property. How important would it be to still go to the property, go to the market?
Oh, you got to go to the property. Guys, you can't do this business sitting behind your desk. And this isn't like buying, for instance, at least multifamily sphere or any commercial sphere. This isn't like buying houses wholesale or single family houses for 30 grand. You still have to actually go toward these properties. You still physically have to go to the submarkets. You got to do your homework. But this is all the work that helps you to not do stupid things, right? Because guys, if something doesn't fit your little investment criteria, if you know it's obviously not going to work, something's selling for 100,000 per unit, whereas all the comps are selling for 50,000 a unit, no amount of research is going to help you, right? Because if something's priced that weirdly, you can't really do anything about it. So this helps you actually not waste your time, not chase your tail around all the time. But it also helps you develop credibility really quickly with the power players in the market. So then they start treating you like an equal. And when they start treating you like an equal, they're gonna start sending you good deals. And that's when the party really starts. But you still gotta do your homework, okay? There's no substitute for literally doing your homework. There's just no way around it.
She wants to know where you get your capital.
Oh, I can't tell you all my secrets.
You said it didn't hurt to ask, right? Be nice.
Yeah, there you go. See, there you go. And I can tell you, where do I get my capital? It's primarily people. Look, I've been doing this on the institutional side for some time, right? So a lot of these were contacts that I had in the investment bank, private equity worlds. But guys, a lot of this, when I moved from Canada 3 years ago, right? I didn't know a soul in Texas. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know anybody in Texas. I didn't go to school here. My social circle isn't here. I don't have a friend circle here. I don't know anybody from college here.
So why'd you come?
Well, I came because A, I was fleeing the cold, and number two, my wife, yeah, she's a physician. So it was easier for me to move down than for her to move up. And, you know, like most good love stories, it was because of a girl. I moved because of a girl.
Okay.
Right. So I didn't know anybody here, guys. To be honest with you, I just didn't. And a lot of this was literally doing my homework, going out, hustling, meeting people, setting up meetings, following up with people. Because it's not just about getting the first meeting. It's always about following up. And a lot of times what happens is 6 months, you'll get no love. 5 months, you get no love. And suddenly what you start seeing is 7, 8, 9 months. Suddenly you get so many deals that you don't even know what to do with it. You're like, dude, I gotta quit everything. Just focus on this thing. So a lot of this is a lot of doing really simple things, but consistently doing them, right? None of this is some revolutionary thought that nobody else has had before. But it's consistently doing it. And the problem is most people around the 1, 2, 3 month mark, they start falling out. And that's what you can't do. You just got to do a really, honestly, guys, you know what? Literally, you see this phone here? Literally all I do is my entire life runs around my calendar. Okay. So you can ask Jesse, Jesse's seen my calendar. Literally my entire life revolves around my calendar because everything is planned. Pretty much.
Yeah, 15-minute meetings. That's how tight it is sometimes.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I don't want a meeting more than 15 minutes with a broker because what am I going to talk to the guy about? What is he going to talk to me about? He's probably going to tell me if he has a deal, he doesn't have a deal, and this is what he's looking at, or I'll tell him, yeah, you send me a deal, it doesn't work because X, Y, Z. I'm just calling you to follow up. That's it. Look, guys, now I'm not saying that I am not friends with brokers. I have some brokers that are really good friends. But those relationships happened organically, right? As a consequence, you know somebody's a great person. You want to know them more. But that wasn't because that person just cuts me a lot of slack because I'm a nice guy. So he's going to not take his commission and just give me all his money. Nobody does that.
Yeah. Anyone else? Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure that after doing all this information too, it makes it a lot easier to raise capital. I mean, you can go to your investors and say, hey, I did all this research, I did all this, already. So whenever a property comes across, and I'm offering you this deal, it's because I've already done the research. So I feel like that'll help as well.
What did you say?
No, he was just kind of adding to what you were saying because he about brokers. What?
Yeah, basically what he's saying is that with this type of homework, you get to know your market, you get to talk to brokers, and you have enough credibility with yourself that you get credibility also with investors that you want to do deals.
Oh, yeah.
So they know that you've done your homework, and you explain to them how you do your homework, and that helps you bring money to the table as well from investors.
And yeah, guys, even if you don't get it on your first deal, trust me, if you do things the right way, you set things up properly, what happens over a period of time is that and I'll give you an example, okay? Like about a year and a half ago, what had happened is I have a bunch of my buddies, they're out in Toronto, they're in investment banks and all that stuff, right? So I know these guys have money. And I know these guys get paid a lot of money, right? Three of these guys did not even give me a dime, okay? I was like, bro, I know how much you got paid, okay? You got paid a lot of money. Show me some love, right? No love, right? On these two deals, no love. You know what happens? Third deal, I'm really busy. So for those, 4-6 weeks, I didn't send any email out on my mailing list, right? You know what happens? I'm not even joking with you. Around the 6-week mark, I'm busy frantically trying to finish this deal. I have 3 guys back-to-back message me on WhatsApp and say, hey, bro, I hope you didn't take me off your WhatsApp list. I promise I'll put money in the next deal, right? Because they're seeing consistency of action, right? They're seeing that, look, a part of this is me chasing them. Hey, man, here's a good deal. Here's why I think you should invest in the deal. But they also see a part of that other thing is like, I'm not desperate for their money. Look, I love their money. I would love to get all of their money, but I got a lot of things going on, right? So I've got a short window of time. Either you make it or you don't. So you also kind of have to know that. Don't get me wrong, guys. There are times when you need that extra $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, $600,000, and you need it bad, right? You will literally do anything to get that money. But that's why you need to cast a wide net so no one person can take you hostage.
All right, we have a question right here.
Hey, Omar. So how do you go about picking your property management companies?
Oh, so there's a couple of things. That's a great question. Nobody actually even talks about that. So 2 or 3 reasons. One, obviously, is through referrals, right? So I'll give you an example again in Florida, not our home market. What we did is obviously you talk to brokers, right? A lot of times professionals want to give referrals to other good professionals because it just helps everybody, right? So referrals are obviously number one, and warm referrals, not somebody saying, hey, go talk to that guy. No, somebody somebody says that, you say, hey, it'd be really great, man. How about you write him an email and introduce us? Literally say it point blank, right? And people want to do it. Some people are busy sometimes, right? So a lot of those were referrals. But one big question that we asked people, 2 questions actually, which really kind of helped us. But the first question was, look, if we don't hire you, who should we hire, right? And again, professional people, to be honest with you guys, people who are secure, people who are actually professional, they will answer that question honestly. So a lot of times we'd be like, look, guys, I'd love to get your business, but I think here are 3 other companies in our market who we feel not only are our competitors, but do a good job, right? And professional people don't have an issue saying that, right? But the other question we asked was, if we don't hire you, who should we not hire? And now that question makes a lot of people really uneasy because nobody wants to talk bad about anybody, right? It's professional courtesy, right? But what happened is, what we realized is when we developed a relationship with certain people, invariably, a lot of people say, or over drinks, or just when you develop a relationship and peacefully, look, it's my experience that most people generally want to do a good job. They don't want to screw you over. Most people, they kind of want to help you. Even if they can't help you, they'll tell you what to do or what they can do, because that's just been my experience, right? So once we developed a relationship and we kept asking the question, invariably, it was really shocking across Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville. Everybody would tell us once we developed a relationship with them, look, as a professional courtesy, you did not hear this from me. Please don't ever do business with these 2 companies. And you know what's really funny? Across the board, in all 3 cities, one name kept coming up all the freaking time. All the time. Okay? That not only helped us not do a deal, surprisingly, by the way, with that company in Jacksonville, but there was actually a deal in Dallas like a few weeks ago, the one in Richardson, Jesse. What had happened is, it was right up our alley, but and it was actually the owner had basically screwed up, so they didn't pay their bills or whatever on time, and now the lender was putting it into receivership and selling it out, right? And we were in best and final. But as soon as, and weirdly, I don't know why I didn't find this out before, but I just kind of asked who the seller was, and I was like, oh, this is the same seller from Florida, right? Because they were a big company. And immediately I called up my Florida contact. I talked to them. They're like, yeah, man, they've been taking so many losses because the reason is they're hiding a lot of things. So up front, you will see like everything is painted, looks nice, but inside the walls are rotting. It's literally stuff like that, right? So because we knew all of that stuff, we were able to back out of that deal pretty quickly. Because we knew, okay, this is a dishonest person, right? The same way that you can't teach somebody honesty, you are also not going to make a dishonest person honest overnight. No amount of due diligence is going to overcome the fact if somebody wants to screw you, they're going to try to screw you. That's just the way it is. Some people are just hardwired like that, right? So knowing all of these things, developing the relationships along the way, really helped us avoid a lot of landmines. And apart from that, look, the other ways of selecting this is referrals. And you kind of ask them about their process, their monthly reports, their weekly reports, how do they manage leasing. Then you physically have to, talk a few times with them, get comfortable, talk to a few different people, talk to their regional. So it's not easy. It's not like, hey, there's a 5-check process, but there's still a few big ticket items you've got to hit. And then, hey, you take them to a property tour with you, right? You take them with a property tour and be like, hey, guy, so what do you think about this, right? And they'll give you their input. And based on the quality of answers they have given you, you'll be able to figure out these things pretty quickly.
Go ahead.
Omar, another question in regards to the Google Maps themselves. You were talking about we got to be careful not putting so much information that it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
For people that might be interested in starting that, is there anything that you would recommend to start with, like the basics to start with, to start using that as your first tool on your toolbox? But if I don't need to be looking at Ikea, for example, as my first filter, what would you recommend? Any 4 or 5 filters that you would recommend to be?
Oh, I can tell you. The first 3 filters should be the incomes, 40, under 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 90, and above 90. 4 filters right there. Put as 5th filter, which should be all the comps that have traded in the market, right? So in the past 1 or 2 years, what are all the comps that have traded? So put them there. And your final filter, basically, when you're starting out, should be stuff like, literally, stuff like Ikea, Best Buy, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. Because guys, a company like Ikea, that's whatever, 20, 40, 80 billion dollars. Best Buy, that's again, really big company, right? Or Trader Joe's. Guys, these companies have such huge research budgets, real estate and otherwise, that by the time, for instance, an Ikea decides to plonk their big Ikea store somewhere, guys, they've spent a few $1 million just researching this thing, okay? So don't try to over-engineer the problem. Literally follow their lead. Literally, just follow their lead. Somebody spend money. Why do you got to go spend money?
Question. Yeah, on that regards, it's the same. I've heard also from other people saying that's part of why you see McDonald's and you see a Burger King nearby. Usually Burger King is behind what McDonald's gets in because they do all the hard work and they just jump in.
Yeah, he's right, because you'll see a McDonald's, say, let's say a mile from the exit, but you'll see a Burger King that's 500 meters from the exit. So what Burger King did is wait for the McDonald's to build a mile, and then they know you're going in that direction anyways. Hell, I'll build it like 500 meters closer to you because they know you're looking for a burger. So it's quite literally the exact same thing.
Yep.
He can see right there.
Hey, Omar, I have another question. So how about investing in college towns? Can you share some of your experiences?
To be honest with you guys, I really haven't looked at any college towns. I'm sure it's great bets and everything. We're still focusing on bigger cities like Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, Jacksonville, Orlando to a certain degree, Atlanta now, Phoenix. Because the issue is, guys, that in my opinion at least, a lot of people tend to say, oh, I get better pricing. Better is basically another way of saying cheap, right? People say, oh, cheap pricing is better, or I can afford there. That's the problem is a lot of times things in life are cheap for a reason, okay? A BMW doesn't sell for the same price that a Toyota Corolla does for a reason. That doesn't make a Toyota Corolla a bad car. It just means that, look, it's harder to get into bigger, more competitive markets. But when you're in those markets, trust me, you don't want to go to smaller markets because it's not the same level of rent growth. It's not the same level of capital appreciation. And it's just a lot more work. And again, this is not an absolute comment. This is just a relative comment, right? Relative to other options, right? The other problem also is, guys, that look, when you're in smaller towns, and I'm just using college towns as an example, but it could be any smaller town, right? The problem is, guys, getting into those properties is somewhat easy because there's not a lot of competition. It's cheaper, all that stuff. But the problem is, guys, getting out of those properties can be a pain in the ass, right? Because when things are going really good, exiting is really easy, right? Somebody else comes in, they pay you money, boom, you look like a genius, right? But you can't really bank on that thing, right? Because eventually you kind of have to be banking that when it comes time to sell, whether it comes time to sell or you're forced to sell, because a lot of times you're forced to sell also, right? Things might not be as good as when you invested, right? And the issue with smaller cities, smaller towns is that the buyer pool is so small that there's really only 2 or 3 buyers, if you think about it. So if there's 3 buyers and one of them is you, the other 2 people actually know why you're selling. Because, guys, regardless of what you think, property managers talk with each other. Maintenance techs talk with each other. Renter talk with each other. Brokers in small town, they talk with each other, right? So when everybody talks and there's 3 people who can really buy in a market, one of them is you, so you're out of the picture. That leaves 2 people. They know why you're selling. So because they know why you're selling and they know there's only 2 games in town, they're not going to give you the same price that you think you're going to get. So because the buyer or seller pool, by the way, is so limited in smaller markets, when bad time comes, it becomes a problem. Even just offloading these properties for a big discount, it becomes a nightmare doing these things. So again, everybody has their own opinion. That's my opinion. Obviously, this is not an absolute comment.
Yeah, and maybe to add a little bit on that, on Omar's comment on in terms of the markets, and when you get a property that might be on not a primary market, but a secondary or tertiary, right? We can talk from our experience. We're looking at a property in Oklahoma, in a tertiary market in Oklahoma some months ago, and it was a good sized property. The price per door was excellent. It was an excellent value add. It was kind of a hard pull. It had a lot of vacancy on it, but even the units that were vacant were all rent ready. So it was pretty much a matter of bringing the property up, vacancy up, and right at that, the property would make money. However, it paid to talk to property management companies and ask them for their opinion. It paid to ask the lenders for their opinion. We ended up not going to that deal. It was a tertiary market, the biggest property in the area on a small market, and it was an area that is mostly oil driven and wind energy, but not much more. So, when any of those things go down, what are you going to be left with? 5 years from now, who are you going to sell it to? So those are the things, take advantage of the people that work on your power team, property management companies and lenders and maybe construction companies in the area. Just touch base with them. It's part of the power team and part of knowing your market. And most of the time, these property management companies and lenders, they would know who was the owner and who that they sell to. They will give you the whole pedigree of the property. So take advantage of that. Go ahead.
Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear me? What happened?
To chat.
Chat. What happened? He's on mute? Who muted him? Yeah.
Yeah, bro, you muted me. I can stop talking if you want.
Sorry about that.
Were you able to hear us? Were you able to hear us?
Oh, yeah, I was able to hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, come on. Yeah, you want the mic?
Man, I got to know your name, man. Who are you, man? I love you. What's your name?
I'm Tony.
Okay, Tony, that's going to make it really easy for me to find out who you are, man.
All right, cool. So I'm starting out. How do you feel about using master leases, like master lease agreements?
Guys, look, I'm going to be honest with you. If you're starting out,
No.
my suggestion to you would be, if you want the honest answer is, guys, when you're starting out, you're already fighting too many battles. Okay? Don't make things more complicated for yourself. Just get the first 1 or 2 deals off your back, get them done, start making money for people. Then you can start doing master leases. Then you can start doing super distressed sales. Then you can start doing seller financing. All of that stuff. For your first couple of deals, keep it simple, because as it is, there's a lot of other fights you have to fight, right? So you got to pick and choose your battles. Because look, guys, I'll give you an example. Look, if I'm a guru, right, it's very easy for me to sell you a more complex product because it just makes me look like a genius, right? Oh my God, this thing is so complex. And I've given it to you in my course for only $500, right? Or $1,000 or some bullshit like that, right? But the problem is, guys, I can tell you everything, but your biggest challenge is partnering with the right people and getting the first 1 or 2 deals out of the way. Literally, make a lot of money, get into them, make a lot of money, keep everybody happy, get the ball rolling, right? Trying to do anything super complex is literally going to set you back, because not only are there too many variables for you to deal with as it is on a regular deal, even if you're experienced, adding an extra layer of complexity is just going to kill you for no reason. I mean, you're literally going to, even if you are successful, which I'm positive you will be, right? You're just going to end up doing more work to get to the same spot. So who wants to do more work? So get the first couple of deals out of the way, get your systems, processes, and team down. Once you've done that, go do whatever you want, man, after that. Right? So that's my opinion. If you're just starting out, don't overcomplicate things. Keep things super high level and simple.
And also on the master lease part, we also had an experience with one where the property was not performing, and the price we were not able to agree on a price with the owner, and we offer a master lease. Well, he was okay with the master lease, but he wanted $1 million just to sign up a master lease for a property that was not performing with a super high risk. So I was like, no, forget it. So that's an extra layer of complexity, like Omar is saying. you got to deal with that stuff too, because the owner is going to want a ton of money. He's going to want to make zero risk, take zero risk, and have you take all the risk. So yeah, just if you can stay away from all those things, better. Just make it easier, even if it's a little less income or a little smaller deal, but you get your ball rolling and snowball from there.
And guys, on that point, I don't mean to say master leases are bad. I don't mean to say that. Okay, I mean to say that you've got to pick and choose your battles. So you've got to decide what is the best and highest usage of your time. Literally, that's what you got to do.
All right. Did you have a question there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Luckily, he's asking.
He answered them, or he asked them?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mitzi Diane. So what websites do you use to do all your research?
Okay, so part of this is basically because I'm a lazy guy. So literally every time I talk to the broker, I was like, bro, send me the CoStar report, send me the Yardi report. And when you send them, I'll have a look and get back to you. And again, Jesse is an example of that, right? Jesse knows I hate working when I don't have to work, okay? I'm not one of those guys because a lot of times it's really funny. I see on Facebook, because I see it later on in the day at whatever, 9, 10, 12, whenever the hell I log on to Facebook in the morning, right? I see some guys, and it's always a guy, right? Some guy posts, underwriting at 1 a.m. Who also loves working late at night? I'm like, dude, do you not have a life? I mean, come on. Don't you have a girlfriend or a wife or kids? Do you not like TV? I mean, what kind of loser are you, man? You're up at 2 a.m. doing what? Underwriting for the sake of underwriting? It's stupid, man. Go get a life. Go get a beer. Have a good time with your friends, man. So, guys, the point is, simple websites, honestly, all I do is Google. If you want to get some median income numbers, right? You can literally type, I think it's census. Let me literally type
that and the income zip code, something like that. I'll give I'll give him some sites, Omar. I have a bunch of
literally census.gov, Zip-Who, he can give this to you. And honestly, again, just literally type whatever you want. Go to Google and type it, and you'll realize one thing. Any question that you ask, you think is like a unique question, and you're like, yeah, this is going to be really hard for Google to answer. Trust me, that same question's been asked like 20 million times before. Somebody else has done all the work for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then do you have like on your quick snapshot analysis, I understand that you were saying prime and median of income, but what do you also look at price per door? Like, are you under a certain price per door?
No, that doesn't really matter to me.
Do you care about cap rate?
No, I think cap rate, I've actually written an article which actually Jesse can share with you. Guys, all this cap rate analysis is complete BS, okay? Cap rate only works if you're buying a stabilized property, right? So if you have a stable property, now all the value add is done, it's stabilized, you don't got to go do like something really big and uplift this, then you can analyze a property. Literally, the definition is you can only apply this to a stabilized property. So cap rates on value add properties, it's completely useless. Now, again, everything I say has to be within reason, right? So what you can't do is go buy something that has a cap rate of 0.5% because, well, cap rates don't matter. I mean, use your brain a little bit, right? But if the market cap rate is 5.6% and you're really only getting it for 5.2%, but there's a lot of upside, right? I mean, you've done the numbers, you've done your analysis, you see the upside. Yeah, all this cap rate analysis, this is a lazy ways person of telling you, I don't really want to do work. I don't really know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to give you an answer I've heard other people talking about. Cap rates are completely, again, within reason. So don't take this to the extreme. Within reason, cap rate analysis is complete BS for value add properties. You can't even do it.
Are you more interested in cash flow after you get the property up and running?
No, to be honest with you guys, I'm interested in a combination of cash flows and capital appreciation, because if you're only doing, like, again, it's all this crap that gurus tell you all the time, right? Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. Don't get me wrong, cash flow is very important because you literally, that's kind of how you're going to run your life, right? But guys, let me tell you this, if you're only focusing on cash flow, you're going to buy in the hood because literally that's the best cash flow around. So if you really, and look guys, I'm living testament to this, right? Because my family has bought commercial real estate assets that they bought in the 60s and we still own them. And the reason why we own them is not because we're some super genius people that just could predict the future. The reason is these are well-located properties that we maintained over the years, right? So we put some money back into the properties, right? We maintain them, they're well-maintained properties, and they're in good locations, and they retain their value. So their value has shot up through the years. Because guys, if you really want to make, Guys, if you literally want to make money that where you can just be like, all right, I'm done with my job. I'm walking away. I don't need this job anymore. I got a lot of money, right? If you need rapper level money, okay, I'm talking like Jay-Z level money. You can't be just doing cash flow, because then you're going to buy in the hood and you're going to get shot or stabbed or one of the two. Okay. So what we focus on personally for ourselves is a combination of cash flow and capital appreciation, because guys, cash flow kind of feeds you, kind of gives you that little bit extra income every month, right? But capital appreciation is really the thing that's going to make you rich, guys. Because all this other stuff, that's just to get you through the month. But what you're not trying to just get through the month. You want to do this for a few years and really start getting nice big chunks of money. Okay? And those big chunks of money, they don't come from cash flow. They come from capital appreciation, buying in the right location, and then just letting that baby ride organically.
Do you have an average that you hold properties and then you sell them?
Sorry?
Do you have an average of the time frame that you hold a property and then resell it?
So typically, look, guys, so there's two answers to that. Look, personally, with my own money, right? So for instance, just my own money, I would buy and never in a million years sell unless I was literally homeless and I was eating out of a dumpster. Okay? That's me. Okay? But what happens is by nobody, I mean people at least that I know, nobody's going to give me their money forever, right? They're going to say, look, what's like, hey, do you want it for 3 years? You want it for 5? Like, what's the deal here? Because if you tell somebody, I want your money for 20 years and trust me and things will work out, that's not much of a marketing pitch, right? Nobody's going to give you their money forever. So typically on deals where we're syndicating the deal out, that's a 3 to 5 year holding period, right? But we give ourselves enough room that, look, if things, don't work out in 5 years, we have enough room to go 6 or 7, but typically it's 3 to 5 because that's when we maximize the gain or maximize the forced appreciation. But from a personal point of view, if it's just me, I would buy a well-located property. In fact, I would slightly even overpay for a well-located property, right? Because guys, what a lot of folks don't realize is that a lot of times you get what you pay for. So not only are you paying for returns, which by the way are very important, right? That's where the business is run. You're also paying for quality of peace of mind and quality, right? So for instance, if you buy something, right? And let's say one thing might return you 18% IRR, but this thing only returns you 15% IRR. But you bought this thing, and for the next 5 years, you didn't even have to think about it. This thing is going on autopilot, literally, right? You're paying for convenience there because you didn't have to burn so many calories, right? But let's assume there's something else that's at 18% IRR for 5 years. But literally, you had to ignore your spouse, you had to ignore your kids, you had to stop living your life, and your entire life was just centered around just making this damn thing work. Okay, what kind of life is that? Right? So not only are you, in my mind at least, for my personal investments, not only am I trying to maximize for return, I'm also maximizing for peace of mind, right? Because at the end of the day, it's no use making all this money if you're going to be stressed out all the time, right? If you're always going to be getting calls at 7 or 8 or 10 p.m. at night when you're having dinner with your kids or family, and I don't know, somebody got murdered or somebody's dead or your property manager just doesn't want to work, right? Or like toilets break down. What kind of life is that? Right? So for me, returns and peace of mind is what I'm looking for.
If you syndicate 100% of the deal, or do you get a loan on some of it and then syndicate the rest?
Sorry, can you say that again, please?
Yeah.
Do you syndicate 100% of the deal, or do you get a loan and then syndicate the rest?
No. We syndicate like a portion and the other is loans. So loans are typically say 60 to 70, 75% LTV, right? And the other part we syndicate, basically. We raise the equity. We put our own money, obviously, because that's the first question everybody asked. Even my brother asked me the first time I was pitching, are you putting your own money? Yeah, I put my own money. But then we raise the rest of the equity.
Do you ever collect an acquisition fee?
Sorry, say that again, please.
Do you ever collect an acquisitions fee?
Oh, yes, we do. We collect acquisition fees. We collect asset management fees because nobody's going to do this for free.
What is your average percentage that you collect?
Also, the acquisition fee is 2% of purchase price, and the asset management fees, which are ongoing, are 2% of collected revenue or net revenue.
Here, ask him.
Do you have a favorite lender you like to use?
Look, yes and no. I might get in trouble for this. Yes and no. I've used Walker and Dunlop before. Shout out to Mark Vinitsky. He's a great guy. But I mean, I like Mark at Walker and Dunlop, but to be honest with you, I don't have a favorite. I mean, It's just that he was highly recommended. We did him on a few deals. He's a really nice guy, but it's not like I have a favorite. You know, it's a commodity. It's a debt is a commodity, right? It's a bit like, I don't know, going to a gas station and putting gas in your car, right? You don't really care if you get it from Shell or you get it from whatever, Sinclair or whoever gives you the best terms.
Yeah. And do you ever cash out refi on your own deals that you put your
Yeah. Ideally, we try to do it for two reasons. Number one, the reason is obviously it's more investor friendly because look, if you have to realize as a general partner, worst comes to worst possible scenario, right? The risk is on me as an example, because I'm a general partner, right? So I again, some of these are non-recourse loans, but non-recourse is, by the way, in name only, okay? There's still a lot of recourse, but because when a $40 billion bank wants to get their money out of you, they'll find a way to get their money out of you, okay? Non-recourse is in name only. So, but it's good for our investors because they can take chips off the table, number one, right? So they can take a lot of risk off the table and they only have limited liability. And for us, what it's also good, and by the way, from a sponsor point of view, what it's also good is because as soon as they do a cash out refi, my numbers just jump up. My IRR starts looking pretty. My cash on cash starts looking pretty. You know, literally all your numbers start looking pretty. So whereas when we're underwriting, I don't assume it as part of my underwriting. And I would suggest that anybody, if you're looking at anybody's deal, and they're assuming a cash out refi as just part of their regular underwriting, right? Run away from that person. That person is disingenuous and does not know what they're doing, okay? But from an investor point of view, it's great. From my point of view, it's great because now investors are happy with me and I look like a freaking genius, right? So yeah, that's short answer or long answer.
When you do the cash out refi, do you ever just cash out your investors and then keep?
No. Look, you can do that. I prefer to not do it because I personally feel that's disingenuous because you're kind of using and abusing people. Okay, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is, I know other people who just cash out their investment and they're like, all right, you're done, you're out of the deal. I don't do that. I feel it's disingenuous and that's not a good long-term strategy to keep people happy. Okay, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, one of my mentors had mentioned, of course, give them some equity where they have that the whole time, but you cash out their actual cash portion after a certain amount of time. So they've got then returned an interest portion plus their original principal, and now they still have some equity in the deal.
Sorry, can you say that again? You cut out the first few parts. I picked up some, but I didn't pick up the others.
So one of my mentors mentioned like offering a 10% interest only loan and then cashing them out after within 2 years, but still giving them like 10% equity in the deal as well. So
Look, first of all, let me tell you this. First of all, the short answer is, you can do it because it's a free country. If two parties agree to a deal, two parties have agreed to a deal, right? So the short answer is, yes, you can do it. The second answer is, that depends how dumb you think people are. Because if you've got a bunch of suckers, hell, I would suggest you give this deal to them all day, every day. Literally, all day, every day, just do it. Just take the money, right? But what I'm telling you is smart, or rather more sophisticated investors, they're not probably going to fall for that. And more sophisticated investors, conversely, also have more money. So usually what happens is dumb people have less money, or if they have more money, they get less money over a period of time. Usually more sophisticated people, again, not always, but sometimes on average, they tend to accumulate more and more money along the way. And there's a reason why they've accumulated more money along the way. And the reason is because they're not dumb and they don't do stupid things. So whereas, it just depends how dumb you think people are. And if you've got a bunch of suckers, go for it. Don't let me get in the way.
Well, I used to be a financial advisor, and if somebody made 10%, they were doing awesome.
But that same person, it's going to be very hard for you to flip that person for a bigger check. Because now you're training this person to give you 50, 100, 150, 200,000 as a loan. So when you try to flip them to an equity portion, the conversation becomes really hard because you've trained them to do one thing. And the whole deal, what you've got to do with equity. Now, again, it all depends, on your investors, where you are, all that kind of stuff, right? So there's no like one size fits all answer. But the thing is, the same way as, for instance, look, your messaging over a period of time, it has to be consistent, right? Obviously, has to be consistent. But what you also have to do is you kind of have to, for the lack of a better word, you kind of have to upsell your investors, right? Because what you don't want is a guy coming in at 50 and staying at 50 for the rest of their life, right? What you want is a guy coming in at 50, goes to 75, goes to 100, tells all his friends about you. They all invest 100 each. And the third, fourth, fifth time around, now all these guys give you 200 grand each. And that stuff doesn't really work if you start giving them, hey, here's a debt, here's an equity. Because you got to realize, retail investor, we're not talking institutional level people, they already are stressed for time. So they are, if you train them to think one way, that's how they'll perceive you for the rest of their lives.
How do you set up your investors?
How do I what?
How do you set up your investors?
I just gave them this. My deal is very simple. Look, because this is, by the way, the reason why I'm even doing the business, right? Look, my wife's a physician. She makes a very good living. For instance, even if I stopped working, just on her income alone, we'd be doing okay. We won't be on the street anytime soon. I can assure you of that, right? In my own profession, working investment banking, M&A, all that, I was making a reasonable amount of money. So the reason why I wanted to do this business was, A, I belong to an entrepreneurial family, number one. So there's a lot of time-related issues, right? You know, I want to get more control of my time and all that kind of stuff. But the other reason is that I want to get compensated going forward on productivity. So if I've done a good job, even if I spent 5 minutes on it, right? But I did something that was extraordinary. I want to be compensated based on results, not on the amount of times, like the number of hours I spent on something, right? So my deal is very simple to people. My deal is very simple. Look, I only make money if you make money. So if I don't get to hit my preferred return 8 to 10%, I don't make a dime. So I'll work like a dog for 3 to 5 years and I won't make a dime. But anything above that we make, the hurdle rate we made, we split those returns 70-30. 70 goes to you, 30 goes to me, right? So the more money we make, so say the bigger the home run I hit, over a period of time, I'm incentivized to make more money. But if I just hit ones and twos, I'll work like a dog for 3-5 years and I'll barely make a living. I'll make like $500 a month. And you know, that doesn't work for me and that doesn't work for them. So a lot of my folks, it's a very simple conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no worries.
He said thank you.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
Anybody else?
Just to add a little bit to that.
Okay.
There you go. And just to add to the markets part, when Omar was talking about the markets before, just keep this in mind. It's a lot better to have the worst property in the best neighborhood than have best property in the bad neighborhood. So
and the same with markets as well. You'd much rather be an okay property in a hard market than an awesome property in a shitty market.
Mauricio has a question.
Hi there. My name is Maurice. I represent one of the largest lenders, apartment lenders in the country. Have you heard of Arbor?
Oh yeah, I know Arbor, man. I think I know a guy here, Sam Gold over here.
Yeah. So I was wondering how we get on your lender list.
I don't know, man. How much? What kind of deals are you going to throw my way? What deal are you getting me?
Well, you're in the market. You're out looking for property, so it's obvious.
Well, I could tell you. I just talked to a guy from Meridian today. You know Meridian, right? Yeah. So I talked to Meridian today, and his whole pitch. Because it's funny. I knew one of his bosses from like I knew one of his bosses through a colleague of mine from like years ago. This is a sheer coincidence, right? And basically his whole pitch was, I was like, dude, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm South Asian, okay? And as a culture, dude, we only look at the bottom line, man. That's it. We're a very bottom line driven culture, right? We don't, none of that other stuff matters for us, right? So his whole pitch to me was, look, I've got a lot of clients in your markets. When it's time for them to sell properties, right? When they want to sell, and if it fits your little buy box, how about we just do a couple of deals off market? And that's how you get comfortable with me. That's how I get comfortable with you, right? Which I thought was a pretty good pitch. I was like, dude, you know what? You do that, I'm sold. Because the issue is, like, you know this better than I do. A lot of times, like I said, it's paying for convenience. So with Walker and Dunlop, Mark Minitsky, again, I'm taking his name over and over again. I'm doing a lot of marketing for the guy. He made my life so easy and so simple that I really didn't have to, I didn't really have to bother myself. So I'm very loath to move to different lenders, even though they could potentially offer me the same deal. So it's like with this Meridian guy, he gave me the pitch. I was like, okay, how about you figure it out? You let me know. We'll move pretty quickly. So you got a good deal, Mauricio, let me know, man. We can talk offline. Show me some love, man.
He likes it already.
Okay, that's good. So you should definitely message me offline.
All right. Yeah, well, let me, if Omar is okay with it, we have the attendance list. Can we send Omar's contact?
Yeah. Do you want to
Go for
tell
it,
them
guys.
how they can get some free content from you and some of your website and that type of thing? Tell them how
Well,
they.
the easy thing is, guys, you can email me. It's Omar, OMAR, at boardwalkwealth.com. Jesse can actually even give you that email, or Jose can give you that email. What you can also do is go to our website and sign up. It's right on the homepage, actually. So it's really not that difficult, actually. It's pretty easy for you. I've made it really simple. You can go to our whole webpage and basically sign up for our mailing list. So this way you know everything that's going on. And the last thing is, guys, we publish a really, in my opinion, at least, an awesome blog, because where we cut through all the BS. It's none of that is fluff. All of this is super duper quality content, which is actionable right now. So if you read it, that within the next 5 minutes, you can act on it, right? So I would highly suggest you read that as well.
And then his podcast as well. I mean, he's got plenty of valuable content. If you thought this was good, I mean, listen to all those as well. You get more information. And he literally does one almost like once a week. So it's fun. Oh yeah, there's also, tell them about your Ottawa meetup on you can go to YouTube. Tell them about that as well.
Yeah, you can go to our YouTube channel, Boardwalk Wealth. That's, I guess it's 2 words, right? Yeah. Go to our YouTube channel, or if you email me, I'll send you the link as well. And not only can you see different meetups, there's 1 or 2 of them I've done. I haven't uploaded all the videos, but what you can also see is some property tours we've done, right? So what you get to see is, say, an interview with a contractor, or if you're doing tree trimming at a property, what happens there? Or if you go interiors, like how are we looking at different interior upgrades and all that kind of stuff. So we do that because a lot of times, it's very good for our investors. They're up to date because they're all over the world pretty much now. But what it also does for you guys is you guys get to see people in action.
People in action.
Yeah.
Basically, don't.
Are you gonna have to repeat that? You cut out. You get to
I
see
said,
people in action, or you said?
yeah, till you don't get to see these things in action, you don't really just understand, right? It's one thing to read about it, but you got to see these things in action. That's the best advice I can give you.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut it short here, guys. I'm sorry, but they close at 9 and we're about 20 minutes away. This was a great meeting. Thanks for all the content.
No worries,
Everybody,
my pleasure.
yeah, everybody here appreciates you as well. Great session. Everyone has great comments.
We show
You
a
probably can't hear
hand.
'em. Everybody
Thank you very much,
that
guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. Talk to you later, man. Bye.
Bye.
Real quick, we want to just show you the San Antonio map that we did so far, so you can kind of get an idea.
It's gonna be really quick.
So you can see some of the stuff here. So we did the same thing. We did the same thing. We haven't done the zip codes because I've been spending a lot more time on trying to close the deal than make a map. But yeah, so there's multiple layers. Well, I'll make it easier to read. So we'll start from 0. And I mainly just did the north side for now, because that's more of the submarkets that we're concentrating on at the moment. But the first one layer we have is the Starbucks. So I basically clicked and got all the Starbucks on the north side of town. And if you look at this, it kind of just follows all the highways, really.
Yeah.
And then in the nicer areas of town, you can see how they're like Alamo Heights. They have a bunch of them outside the areas of the highways. Yeah, 281. Yeah, so that's Starbucks. We haven't done that one, but I did one.